The Steward's Mind, 30-Day Biblical Wealth Psychology Audio Journey, Week 5, The Voice, Sessions 21 to 25. Our anchor scripture is Proverbs 18, verse 21. The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. Some Hebrew words to know. Tongue is lashon, the organ of speech, but also the language, the voice, the ongoing narrative. Power is yad, literally hand. The hand of life and death is in the tongue. Fruit, peri, which is produce, offspring, result, what grows from what is planted. Solomon is saying that the tongue is not a passive instrument. It is a generative one. What you speak consistently, habitually, reflexively, is not merely describing your reality. It is participating in the creation of it. The tongue plants seeds, and seeds produce fruit, whether you intended to plant them or not. Week 5 is the most surprising week for most people, because most people have never examined the financial vocabulary they use every day. They have examined their beliefs, perhaps, their habits, maybe, but the words, the reflexive, habitual phrases that come out of the mouth automatically when money is a subject, those who have been running without examination for a very long time. This week we will examine them, and we begin to change them. Session 21. The words you speak are seeds you plant. Welcome to Session 21. I am Rich Abbott. This is The Steward's Mind, Week 5, the first session of 5 on the theme of the voice. We have covered 4 weeks of ground. Identity, who you are as a steward. Heart, what the Lev has decided about money and where those decisions came from. Mind, how the nous is renewed and the daily architecture that supports transformation. Hand, the practical financial behaviors that express the steward's identity in the real world. Now we come to something that connects all of them. Something that most financial teaching never touches. Something that once you see it, you cannot unsee. The words you speak about money are either planting seeds or pulling them up. Every day, in casual conversation, in internal monologue, in the reflexive phrases that come out of your mouth without conscious thought, you are speaking a financial narrative. And that narrative is not just describing your financial reality, it is reinforcing it, deepening it, giving it permission to continue. This is not mysticism. It is the intersection of neuroscience and scripture, arriving at the same place from different directions. What you say repeatedly, especially with emotion, especially in first person, shapes the neural pathways that drive your financial decisions. And what Solomon said 3,000 years ago in Proverbs 18:21 is a precise description of the same reality. The tongue has the power of life and death. Part 1. The reflexive financial vocabulary. Let me describe what I mean by reflexive financial vocabulary. These are the phrases that come out automatically, without thought, without intention, whenever money is a subject. I can never get ahead. We have always been broke. Money just slips through my fingers. I am terrible with money. Rich people are just lucky. We can never afford anything. I will never be able to retire. Every time I get a bit ahead, something goes wrong. Money is always tight. I do not have a head for numbers. How many of those landed? How many of them, or something close to them, have come out of your mouth in the last 30 days? Not because you sat down and decided to say them, but because they are part of the reflexive vocabulary, the automatic language of the financial mind that has not yet been examined. Here is what you need to understand about reflexive language. It does not feel like a choice. It feels like a description. It feels like you are simply reporting the facts. But what is actually happening is more significant than a description. Every time you speak one of those phrases, you are reinforcing the neural pathway that produced it. You are giving the belief another repetition. You are sowing another seed, and seeds by design reproduce. Part 2, the neuroscience of spoken language. In session 13, we looked at how neural pathways are formed and strengthened through repetition. We talked about Hebbian learning, neurons that fire together wire together, and we talked about the role of emotion in accelerating pathway formation. Spoken language adds a layer to this that silent thought does not. When you speak something aloud, when the words leave your mouth and enter your ears, the brain processes the content twice. Once as the speaker generating the language, once as the listener receiving it. The emotional impact is amplified. The neural reinforcement is stronger. The pathway goes deeper. That is why Paul writes in Romans 10 verse 9 that you declare with your mouth and believe in your heart. The sequence is not accidental. The declaration comes first, the spoken word, and it deepens the belief. The mouth and the heart are in a feedback loop. What you speak shapes what you believe, and what you believe shapes what you speak. The cycle runs in both directions, and you can interrupt it at the point of speech. This is also why the biblical practice of declaration, speaking truth aloud rather than merely thinking it, is more powerful than it might appear. You are not just affirming something. You are processing it neurologically through two channels simultaneously. The spoken truth goes deeper than the silent thought. Part 3. The life and death of the financial tongue. Proverbs 18 verse 21. The tongue has the power of life and death. The Hebrew word translated power here is yad, which literally means hand. The hand of life and death is in the tongue. This is an agricultural image. The hand that plants, the hand that sows. The tongue sows seeds of life or seeds of death, and both kinds of seeds grow. What does a seed of death sound like in financial language? I will always struggle. We were not raised to be wealthy. Money does not come easily to people like us. I am just not good with money, never have been, never will. These are not neutral descriptions. They are seeds, and they have been growing, producing fruit in the financial life exactly as Solomon said they would. What does a seed of life sound like? I am learning to manage money with wisdom. I am building something that will outlast me. I am a steward of what God has entrusted to me. My capacity to earn and build is increasing. I am becoming someone who handles money well. The second set of phrases does not deny present reality. They do not pretend that the bank balance is different from what it is. They speak from identity and trajectory rather than from current circumstances. They plant seeds in the direction of where the steward is going rather than where they have been. Part 4. The story you tell. Beyond the individual phrases, there is a larger story. The financial narrative, the autobiographical account you tell yourself and others about your relationship with money. Everyone has. It usually starts in childhood and accumulates evidence along the way, and it is told and retold to friends, to family, to yourself in the quiet moments, until it feels less like a story and more like the truth. My family was never good with money. I have always been a spender. I tried investing once and lost everything. I just do not have the discipline. This is just how my life goes financially. The story feels true because it has evidence. There are real events in the past that the story is built on, and because it feels true, telling it feels like honesty rather than self-sabotage. But the story is not the whole truth. It is a selected, framed, and narrated version of events curated by the Lev that was trying to make sense of experience. And the story that the Lev chose to tell, the narrative arc it selected, has been producing outcomes consistent with itself ever since. You are not your story. You are a steward who has a story. And a steward can choose to tell a different story, not a false one, not a denial of the past, but one that places the past in a different frame, a frame of becoming rather than being, of trajectory rather than destination, of who God is making you rather than who the circumstances made you. Part 5, Reflection. Before you close this session, I want you to do something uncomfortable. For the next 24 hours, pay attention to every financial phrase that comes out of your mouth or runs through your internal monologue. Do not try to change them yet. Just notice them. Write down the ones that recur. You are conducting a vocabulary audit. You are looking at the seeds you have been planting, automatically, reflexively, without examination, in the soil of your financial life. What is growing there is a direct result of what has been sown. And once you can see what has been sown, you can begin to change what goes into the ground. Closing declaration. Say this: my words are seeds, and I am paying attention to what I am planting. I choose words that speak life over my financial situation. I am not reporting my past. I am declaring my trajectory. The tongue has the power of life and death, and I am choosing life. This is Rich Abbott. This is The Steward's Mind. Session 22 is next.